What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by Tyler Hicks and Travis Mangone, fresh off a flight, rushed home just to join us. Pretty excited to see you, Travis. How's everything been with you, right? It cashed more Rams money line tickets than the city of Los Angeles, I think.
Yeah, it was good to get those home. Rams got it done, but not being able to hedge, I was very concerned with that game. Like when Odell went down, I was like, this is not good. I can't make bets. I can't hedge at least and get the 3.5 with the Bengals. I wanted to, but it's all good. We survived. I also hated that face mask. That drove me nuts. Like I just felt like justice was served. I'm happy the Rams won, but off to the NBA season. I'm really excited about that. We'll have to see. I am tempted now, though, spread, because that was a fun time. I'm tempted to find a UFC bet, place 2 months in advance and just pound those home. But I'm probably not going to do that. This is a tough betting week for NBA with the break coming up. So it's never a bad week. You don't have to fire right away. There is some value in firing early on here if you think that there's guys that can sit, but also it can backfire and hurt you if some guys sit that you don't expect. So tough week of betting here in the NBA streets for sure.
Yeah, Tyler, we were talking right before we went on, and I was saying, it is tough to tell, right, whose eyes are actually on winning these basketball games and who maybe might be doing a little vacation planning, right, especially the players with the big contracts that did not make the All-Star game, right, a little bit of Cancun, maybe some Vegas, maybe a Caribbean trip, right, but are their eyes fully focused on the basketball game? And I'll tell you what, the city of Sacramento, man, we were riding high yesterday, and today it seems like we are back to reality because the Kings got smacked by Brooklyn. Were you as disappointed in that performance as I was?
Yeah, I mean, they looked terrible. They looked right back to the Kings they were before the trade. So, I mean, we had them yesterday too. And, of course, the one time we bet on them, they decided they're going to stink it up. So that's how our night went last night.
Yeah, back to reality here in Sacramento, right? Everyone was thinking we're going to be 4-0 with Sabonis going into the All-Star break, right? I mean, it sounded like they were broadcasting from a party on the local Kings radio station when I was driving around yesterday. So I'll be jumping in the car. I know JSU and Travis hate this, but listen to the local radio and see how they're responding to this loss. And we took some losses yesterday, but we are intending to bounce back today, and we are going to start with a game that, I mean, hey, we got to be talking about this one, and I expect both these teams to be taking it seriously. Travis, your Boston Celtics, winners of what? I think 7 in a row now. Jason Tatum coming off a 38-10 performance in the last win. They're heading to Philadelphia to take on the 76ers with Tyler's favorite MVP candidate, Joel Embiid, coming off the 40-point triple-double. Surprised to see that the Sixers are dogs here. They're home dogs. They're +2. They've taken a little money. This is +2.5 earlier today. Travis, I don't know. Maybe I'm just, trying to put one in Tyler here, right? But I kind of like the Boston Celtics to get it done and continue their hot streak. Let's start with you. Do you think the Celtics can get it done in Philadelphia tonight?
Yeah, I certainly think they can. I'm a big believer in the Celtics right now. I want to keep riding them out. So I'm good to do it. I'm good to fire on them if you want to. I do think this is a game that you expect. I believe this is TNT game tonight, right? Correct, spread?
Is this the TNT game?
I would assume. It makes so much sense for it to be. I can look it up. But
League Pass, I watch them all.
It matters for guys sitting, right? That's the thing. Sometimes, so that's the TNT one, and then it goes Clippers and Phoenix later on. So, I think this is definitely going to be a good game. This is one that if you had to just only watch one game tonight, it's probably this. If it's just fantasy and betting didn't matter. Exciting to watch. Both teams. Celtics are surging. Sixers are without Harden, but that's okay, right? Embiid is still great. And watching that matchup down low, because Time Lord has been great. He's been absolutely phenomenal down low as of late. And Embiid is obviously matchup proof and he's really great, but I'm curious to see how he can do his best to slow him down. Because if they get him in foul trouble, well, then what do the Celtics do? Do they just let Embiid kind of get some empty buckets and cover everyone else? Curious to see how this game plays out. But I'm definitely on the Celtics here. I've been riding this train for a while. I think we continue to ride it here. And should be a fun game to watch for sure. DFS-wise, it's not going to be the most exciting game. The one argument you can make for Embiid, there's not a lot of studs on this slate. Of course, there is Luka, so he's going to be a good option to go to. But I think Embiid is a good option. And then, Tyrese Maxey at his price tag, it can't be ignored because it's gone down to 6.5K. But this is definitely not like a game where you're just loading up on this. You can always make arguments like Jaylen Brown could have a big game. So could Tatum. Like all these guys could pop off. But there is downside with them as well that you can't ignore. So ultimately, that's a game that I'm going to really like watching. But I'm not going to be just jamming guys in my DFS lineups for it.
Yeah, and Tyrese Maxey better take advantage of tonight, right? Maybe one of his last opportunities to handle the ball before James Harden, the ISO master, comes in. Tyler, we both like the Celtics, but, hey, we didn't talk about this before we went on, but my guess is you're going to be on the other side with your MVP taking the floor. Talk to us about this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm actually on Boston here because it's just him against the world. There's really no help there. They dealt all the help he really had. It's just Maxey and Harris. And if one of those guys don't show up, you're kind of screwed. To where once Harden gets there, they'll be better. Boston's rolling right now, so you don't want to get in front of that train. Embiid could post monster numbers in this game, and they could still lose. So give me Boston here. And Embiid's rebounds are set at 12.5. You look at the matchups he's had against Boston. They've already played 3 times this year. He got 18, 10, and 13. The game he got 10 was the game he scored 41 against Boston. It was also the game Al Horford didn't play. We talk about his defense against Joel Embiid. I see Marcus Smart and Williams are on the injury report as questionable. If both those guys miss, I'm flipping to the Philly side because I think both those guys are big. They've only lost 2 games since Marcus Smart's been back in that lineup. And then I'm really high on the under 210 in this game. They're averaging 210 points in the last 10 matchups between these two teams. And then the last 3 matchups, they're averaging 198. Like, they expect a slow-paced game here, a bunch of defense. This is like a rivalry game. So I definitely like the under here.
Yeah, Travis, I feel like, we're going to use your tagline for tonight, wait for the news, but I feel like you have to do that. Tyler and I have talked all season how Marcus Smart almost has a Draymond Green-like effect on this team and this defense. And, I like the Celtics here, and that's what I'm giving out right now, but I'm letting you guys know I'm not going to place it till I'm sure that he's in the lineup. Do you feel the same way about Marcus Smart?
Yeah, I mean, he matters, but like Derek White could slide into that role and help out there. He is pretty good defensively, and I love the addition of Derek White. I don't know if I was on to talk about that too much. I can't remember, but I loved that trade. I think he's going to be a really nice boost for them. So I'm excited to see how he shakes out with them. And it sounds like Marcus Smart and Derek White are like excited to kind of grind together and get the job done. Like Marcus Smart's not missing this game. Let's be real. He's a grinder. He's out there. Maybe Williams can miss, but they really do need him. It'd be pretty big. So, Horford could do a pretty decent job on Embiid. I'm not like too worried about it. And again, Embiid is one of those guys that like you can just let him get his and then just like cover everyone else. That's one of those routes that they can easily go. So I'm on the Celtics. I think it's a good to keep riding them out. There is going to be a time to get off soon, though. I don't know when the time is, but I don't think it's tonight. I'm not like looking to do it yet.
They got to be one of those teams that's not happy about the All-Star break, right? You don't want to have your momentum crushed by that full week off. What you got, Tyler?
I would say some of those player performance doubles, like say if you like Philly, Embiid double and win is plus 160. Mm-hmm. You could do the Embiid 2+3s plus 350. Or if you do 35 plus points and Philly wins plus 440. If you just think he absolutely mauls his front court, him 40 plus points and win is 10-1. So, if you're high on the Philly side,
he's not getting 40 against Horford.
You never know. And then if you like the Boston side, I like the Derek White call. You could do him 15 plus points and Boston wins at plus 240. Because if Smart plays, he's going to get the bench minutes. He's going to play Philly's second unit. He's just going to eat up that backup point guard. So I could definitely see him scoring 15. Or you could do him 3+3s and then win at about plus 400. And that would be the other way I'd look at it on the Boston side.
Yeah, maybe the last chance for Shake Milton to see the floor for the 76ers tonight with with Harden coming in here. So interesting to see how this game turns out. Let's talk about the other prime spend up on the slate. Travis, Luka Doncic scored 51 and 45 in the 2 games since Porzingis has been traded. Is it a message? Did they not just get along? Or just, hey, he had to do it because he's waiting for the other guys to come back regardless. He has been absolutely on fire. But tonight, he goes up against one of the best defenses in the league and probably one of the best individual defenders in Jimmy Butler. I assume that Butler is going to draw that assignment. Maybe not for the full game, but I would assume when it matters, Butler's going to be the one on Luka. I like Miami here. I'm laying the 4. I'm not high on Dallas, even though they have been playing better as of late. I still think some of their success is fool's gold. Tyler talked about Embiid having to do it all by himself. I feel that Luka is kind of the same way. Now, we might have the new additions tonight. Bertans, to me, is a wash. He doesn't mean anything to the spread. Dinwiddie, of course, will help a little bit, but he seems like he's kind of superfluous with what Jalen Brunson already does. That was just a weird trade to me from the Dallas perspective. Felt like more of a salary dump than a way to improve their team. How are you approaching this game, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, Luka's definitely someone that I am I'm liking on this slate. If you look at the full setup of it, there's just not like all these stars. I mean, there's some, but it's not like you're just like loaded with a ton that you want to just like fire on. That's one of the issues I noticed with the slate. Like Luka's at 12K if you go to the utility spot, and then you got Embiid at 11.6, and then it's a huge drop over to Cat at 9.8. So you only have 2 guys above 10K that you're playing unless Giannis plays, right? That's going to be really big news. And if Giannis doesn't play, which I think he's probable, so he probably ends up playing, but you just never know. Like then you'd want to go to Middleton and Drew, and you just be loading up on those guys. So ultimately, Luka looks like the best option right now. Do we have the news yet spread on Dinwiddie's status and Bertans?
They're both flying.
Yeah, I see them both green on Basketball Monster.
Bullock isn't going to be in. He's doubtful.
I mean, that can easily hurt Luka. Like one thing to call out here is like if Luka's going to be, and I don't know what his percentage is going to be. He's probably going to be the highest owned stud, but like let's say he's the highest owned stud at like 60, 70%. Well, like you are embracing a situation that is unknown, and it's not just an unknown situation. You're going against the Miami Heat. Like this isn't a team that's a joke. I think he's had a good history against them though. So it's like definitely a good debate to have, but I don't know. I don't need to fire on Luka today. Like he's not like this like must-have, must-own stud for me. I think there's a lot of ways you can go. On top of that, you have a lot of like cheap. You don't have a lot of like really good cheap options. Like they're fine, but like it's not like yesterday where you have like all these like just felt like absolute like okay, this guy's a really good stone lock like Grimes at 3K. You don't have those guys on this slate. You have some value. Like I'm not saying it's going to be bad plays. Like Maxi Kleber is a great example. He's one of the better values on this slate. When Maxi Kleber is one of the better values on the slate, that's typically a bad thing. So yeah, I don't know if you need to go up to the top to Luka or some of these studs. Maybe it's a better night to like play some mid-tier guys or like some 4K values, 5K, and then like pepper that 7 and 8K range. That could maybe be the better route today. Just that is a hefty price tag to think about. So I don't really have like a lean on the game. Obviously, it's like a whole new situation for Dallas. Typically, when it is a new situation, especially with adding those 2 pieces together, and one of them's a ball handler where it like just can move so much. My typical lean is to stay away from the game or bet the other side, just because it's just a new situation and it's unknown. Of course, Dinwiddie could just come off the bench and slide into his own role, but there is still some kind of learning that has to go on with playing with each other. So if you forced me to pick, I would pick Miami -4.5, but no strong takes on it. And then DFS-wise, I just don't love this game. It's a 209.5 total, kind of like the last one too. We got a 244 total on this slate. Like, let's just go there instead. I don't need to fire on this game.
Tyler, right? Everyone's talking about Brooklyn. Everybody's talking about Philadelphia. But look at the standings. Miami Heat, first in the East right now, 37-20. 19-6 straight up at home. I think they get it done again tonight. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, give me a -4 here against Dallas. With those 2 pieces, just like Travis said, I think adding the ball handler is going to mess him up a bit. And I know we talked about how good he's been playing the last couple games. It's against the Clippers, who he clearly hates. Yeah. He's played them twice in 2 years in the playoffs. He puts up these monster numbers against them every time. We've seen him and Terrence Mann out there yelling back and forth. So he has this rivalry with those guys. Really doesn't have that with Miami. They also have Jimmy Butler, who they're going to throw right at him, and he's taking that assignment because just the way he is. So he's going right after Luka. I like them to match up well. Bam should have his way with this front court. Like the Bam double and win at +140, I think is the solid way to get on here. And then you just look at the way these Heats rank in shooting percentages. There are in the last 5 games, 7th in field goal percentage, 4th in 3-point percentage. And you look at their defense, they're 3rd in opponent field goal percentage and 2nd in opponent's 3-point percentage. So they're playing good on both ends of the ball. I know Hero's out tonight, but everyone else is pretty much there. Give me the Heat tonight spread. I think they win this game by more than 5.
Yeah, I do too. And another couple good percentages for the Heat, right? First in the league in 3-point percentage, first in the league in free throw percentage. Free throw percentage, especially important when you're looking to cover these spreads.
The other thing too is like it seems like we talk about teams having other teams' numbers. Mm-hmm. Dallas just doesn't seem to play well when they play Miami. 4-16 in the last 20 straight up.
I mean, if you spent the first 20 years of your life in Serbia and you got a chance to go to Miami, you're taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and then the last 6 they played in Miami, 1-5 straight up. So give me Miami here.
Yeah, and right, everything's kind of getting lifted down there. Everything's getting back open, back to normal. So
it's Miami spread, nothing closed down there.
Yeah, I forgot it is Florida. Good point. See, I'm out here in California, man. They're still locking down. The Cleveland Cavaliers are a team that's good at locking down other teams. They're playing the Atlanta Hawks. This number is -1 right now. You can get the Cavaliers -102 on the money line. The Hawks, man, so streaky, right? They're doing terrible. Then they ran off 8 of 9, including the win over the Phoenix Suns. Suns have won 17 games in a row, or 16 of the last 17. The only team that they lost to was the Hawks, right? This team can get it done. But now recently, they're kind of back to their old ways. I've talked about it a lot. And Clint Capella even mentioned in an interview today, right? They just expected to be back in the playoffs. They're learning life in the East is kind of like how the West was 3 to 4 years ago. This is a deep, deep conference. And I'd say much deeper than the Western Conference there, from the 6 to 12 spots here. And the Hawks are kind of failing the brunt of that. Tyler, we've been high on the Cavaliers all year. Atlanta is a pretty good team at home, but I like the Cavaliers here. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
Yeah, give me the Cavs here. I mean, looking at this injury report, I know Wright and Bogdanovich went through shoot-around, but John Collins out. That's going to be big here because you look at the game they played last game without him. It was on Sunday. Now, they started Gallo in that spot. If they start Gallo here, Mobley's going to absolutely eat him up. They only played Onyeka Okongwu 17 minutes in that game. You got to think he's got to slot in more minutes here because against a bigger team like Cleveland, if they're going to put Gallo out there, we got to be all over Mobley's props because he's absolutely going to eat him up. His points props 13.5. He could absolutely blow that number out of the water if it's Gallo out there for another 23 minutes. And then Bogdanovich for 38 off the bench because everybody else is a guard. So there's going to be nobody out there to stop him. Jared Allen should have a good game. They'll play Clint Capella about 30-plus minutes now with the injury, but that really doesn't affect it. And then we know Trae Young's not playing much defense. Darius Garland's going to have himself a day. I like his double-double and win, the 20-plus points and win. And they'll likely put Hunter on LeVert, but I still think LeVert can get to that 15-plus mark they have for his performance double. They have him 15-plus points, Cleveland win plus 190. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like that too. Travis, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, and spread, I can confirm as someone who was just in Florida. Yeah, it's open, wide open.
Love to hear it.
Yeah. The Cleveland game, definitely a good one to look at. No John Collins. That's pretty big because Clint Capella, his big issue has been he has been really hurt by Okongwu. And Okongwu has caused some problems. That has really hurt his production. It's cutting to Collins at times, but more so Capella. And you can make an argument that maybe what happens with Collins is like maybe you do see Capella still stay in the same role, like minutes-wise, and they just slide in another guy more at the 4, and then like maybe just better production for Capella today. I could see that happening. But I do think Danilo Gallinari is going to get the start. And, we are Danilo Gallinari fans on this show, at least I am. So I'm definitely going to be looking to play him at 4.5K as a starter. I think it's a really good spot for him. The only issue you can make is, yes, Cleveland is not like the best spots for big men. And that's the one issue with Capella. It's another issue that you can have with Gallinari. Because, like, what if they do go double big at times? And that does cut into Gallinari's production. I could see it, but he is only 4.5K. So I am not ignoring him here in this spot. I think these Atlanta Hawks are definitely in play. Capella like him. Okongwu isn't bad, but he's center eligible at 3.4K. He could just be a value that we need because value's not great on this slate. And he's only 3.4. There's a difference between 3.4K and like a guy who's like 5.3. Like Clint Capella could easily bust at that price tag. And like at 3.4, there's normally not much you need to do. I do think Capella is the better player over Okongwu, but they're both definitely good options. I think DeAndre Hunter at 4.6, they're going to need him. I think he's a really good play to go to in DFS. And then Darius Garland is 7.4K. that's a great price tag on him. Like, I'm definitely interested in him there. It's the Atlanta Hawks. I'm not scared of Trae Young defense either. I haven't looked a lot at the usage numbers and like the breakdown with Garland and LeVert there. Is LeVert still coming off the bench spread? Is that what they're doing still?
I'm assuming so with Garland in. That's
I just wonder, like, when do they go to like him starting? Like, he's going to start at some point, right?
I don't know. They might keep him in this role.
Like, even in the playoffs?
I think they should start him, but I mean, if it's working, why not just leave it alone?
I think the idea is they never want to have 1 minute of the game without Garland or LeVert in there.
Yeah, but you can just stagger them like they used to with like Westbrook and like KD and OKC. And because you have Kevin Love, like, you can start LeVert for like the first 4 minutes. Pull him, like literally just pull him like with another guy for the Kevin Love one. And then like you can easily stagger it. I just don't think it's like too hard to do, especially when Kevin Love's out there. Like, you don't need LeVert out there when Kevin Love's out there necessarily. So yeah, I'm just curious to see whenever he decides to start. LeVert's price tag is 7.5. It just still feels like too much for me. It's really Garland is like the best option there on Cleveland. And I mean, Jared Allen at 7.6 has an upside, but I don't need to go there. There's better spots on this slate, I think, to go to. He also soaks up a center spot, and like there's already better center values in this game and later on. So I think that's kind of how I'm approaching this game. From a betting perspective, I don't have any strong takes here on this one. I'll definitely admit I'm not one that I'm just itching to go bet. If I had to pick a side, it's probably the Cleveland side, just because, I don't know, betting against Cleveland hasn't seemed like the most profitable idea this year. I don't know how they've been over like the past 5 games with like the new setup with LeVert. That probably something I was interested in knowing, but I do think Cleveland is a team that you just kind of, if you blindly bet them the rest of the year, it would probably work out, I think, for you. I know the line adjusted a little bit, but I do think this team is going to come on strong, and they have a great coach, and they're playing really well.
Let's check in with the chat. Tyler, what do you think of this? Allen double-double on the win.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I think he's definitely good for the double-digit rebounds, and he should be good for the 10-plus points. He's averaging about 12, so definitely a good play, and you're getting plus money on it.
All right. How about Capella over on rebounds? He says Cavs give up a lot of rebounds to the centers, which actually would surprise me.
Yeah, I like that play too, because you're getting it at 12.5. I mean, it's juiced a little bit at minus 122, and they've already seemed to adjusted it to him playing 30-plus minutes, but he should be able to get up over that number.
All right. Another one from Robert. He says Garland's been awful with assists. Do you like the under on LeVert's? I mean, on Garland's assists?
No, I'm not playing any unders when it's going to be Atlanta's defense out there tonight. I mean, he could just dish them on pick and rolls to them guys, but he has been awful. So, I mean, I could see his logic on it.
All right. Travis, this one's for you. He says Capella and Harrell, or this is from Richie Smalls. Capella and Harrell are both 5,300 on DK. Who's going to have the lower ownership, and who do you think is the better play?
I think the lower ownership is Harrell. But I do think, man, that's tough. I have to know what the gap is. I don't know what the gap is on ownership, because like I do think Capella is going to be one of the chalkier options on this slate. So my lean right now is going Capella over Harrell, but it's all about your full lineup, right? It depends how much chalk you're eating. If you need a pivot point, it's not a bad spot to do it, especially in this matchup. It's definitely not the easiest matchup, but 5-3 is a really nice tag on Clint Capella. And I don't want to know the starting lineup too. Like if he starts with a Kongwu, like, man, starting with a Kongwu would be really good, because then that would tell me that they're willing to run double big man lineups more. And if that's the case, that's better for Clint Capella's minutes. I do think even if a Kongwu just backs him up, it's still not the end of the world, because I think you could see double big man minutes like throughout the game. But I am curious, like, Spread, do you think they go with a Kongwu and Capella as starters here?
No, I don't.
No?
No.
Yeah. I lean that too, but I just would not be surprised. We've seen teams counter with it because they're so worried about the Eiffel Towers there. So I'm leaning Capella though over Harrell. If the ownership gap is huge, where it's like 5 or first 40%, on these kind of slates, I lean going that way just lower owned guy, because these value plays are not as strong as some other slates, I think.
And let's move on to Harrell's team. Charlotte Hornets are playing Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are laying 6. This is the game you were talking about, Travis, the total of 244. And just on Harrell, in his 2 games with the Charlotte Hornets so far, averaging 17.5 points and 7.5 rebounds per game. So he's definitely making the most of his opportunity there in Charlotte. the Charlotte has not been making the most of their opportunities. Gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they've been playing terrible of late. I mean, boy, they haven't won a lot of games. Minnesota Timberwolves have won 2 in a row. Tyler, if you could pull up the streak while you're talking, why don't you break down this game, and I'll see if I can find that. But I know that Charlotte has been losing a lot of games as of late. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I know they're 3-7 over their last 10, and the only 3 teams they beat are Detroit, the Lakers, and Indiana.
Okay, that's enough. I'm not going to look it up. That was my point.
2 of those teams are bottom 5 teams. The other one's kind of like pretty much down there. They just have a badly built roster. So, I mean, give me Minnesota in this matchup spread. They're back to their starting lineup. They're injured. There's no one on the injury report really for them. So they should go right out here. I think their defense plays great. I think they light up this Hornets defense, and they win this game easily by double digits. The plays I was looking at in this one, shooting guards are absolutely torching the Hornets, because Rozier plays no defense. This is also the Ant Edwards versus LaMelo Ball game. I could see this being one where Edwards puts up like 35 points. He's going to chuck the hell out of that ball today. You can get him 25 plus and win, or 30 plus and win at about 2-1 or 3-1. I like both of those. So those are my 2 plays on this game. And then if you just had to take a side, give me Minnesota.
Yeah, and Edwards is coming off a 37-point performance, right? So he's feeling it. He is hot right now. Travis, highest total on the board, 244. I could be wrong, but I think it's the highest total of the season. How are you approaching this game?
Oh, yeah, Tyler, now you're talking my language, man. Ant Edwards season, like, let's go. Him versus LaMelo Ball, like, that's what I like to see. Like, let's shove it up LaMelo's, I'm not going to say the words, but let's take him down. Like, I like both guys, but I think Ant gets too much slander that he does not deserve, and everyone acts like LaMelo Ball is just the next coming. And he's great. We'll see how the Charlotte Hornets can get the job done over the years, but I think this Timberwolves team is a better team in general. I know they've been pretty hard on themselves, which it's good to see this team growing, and they're just saying, hey, like, we're a better team than we've been showing. We need to be playing better defense. And I kind of think this is where they're going to turn. I think they're going to start to turn this thing around and start playing better defense, which is nice. I kind of want to start betting the Timberwolves, maybe not blindly, but I want to be looking at them whenever they play and just be like, okay, I need to consider bets on them because I think this defense is going to turn back to what it was supposed to be. It was playing great, and then they got a ton of injuries. I really feel good about it. Let's talk DFS, though, because DFS, it's tough to talk about these 2 teams because I think they're really good options, but the issue you have on the Timberwolves side is Minnesota. I think D'Angelo Russell at 7'3", he has a really nice ceiling at that price tag. I definitely want to consider him. Like, if I'm MMEing, you got to get some exposure to him. I love Ant Edwards, but man, Ant, the one issue with him is the floor can be brutal. Like, he is so points dependent. The one thing that's nice is if he's driving to the hoop, he's going to make everything, right? I mean, there's no one to defend it down low. He can do well. One thing I'll look into before the NBA hardwood shows, I wonder where Ant is on drives to the hoop right now. That would be something that I would really want to know, because whenever you see Ant driving to the hoop more, that is when you want to get on him. And there's definitely a chance this is a matchup it could get done. If the ownership is low, then I think firing on him is fine. But when it's higher, I get a little more nervous about him. Like D'Angelo Russell a little bit more than Ant, though. And then Cat at 9'8". I talked about there not being a lot of studs. Is Cat going to be overlooked on this slate? I think there's a chance he is. And I think at this point, if Steven Adams drops 45 fantasy points on you, or 42, whatever he got when JSU shipped 100K the other day, if he is dropping that many fantasy points, how on earth do you not just like blindly play a center against them every single time? Like, and Cat is elite. The only issue you have with Cat is he just get in foul trouble and do stupid stuff. That's the one concern that I always have with him. But he should dominate in this matchup. And if people are spending down at center for those Hawks options, well, Cat at low ownership has my interest. So right now my current rankings are, I would say, Cat, D-Russ, and then Ant, but like I would need to see some ownership still. I'll talk about it more on the NBA Hardwood show for sure, because I think that's really important. And once we get more news, that'll dictate some ownership there. We should definitely talk about the Charlotte side. I do want to touch on Beverly real quick, though, because Beverly he's in that range at 5K. He fits these slates really well. When there's not these like elite value plays, he always just feels like a safe one that has the upside as well. And it is against Charlotte, where I could see them using him a ton. So don't sleep on Beverly. He could be a really solid value play on a slate where value just isn't that great. But Charlotte, Their minutes have been really good. That's one thing to really like about them. LaMelo Ball's minutes have been insane. But do you want to pay that 9.1K price tag? LaMelo has some similarities to Ant where he's volatile, where you can play LaMelo Ball, but you have to understand the downside is there. So when he has increased ownership, there are concerns with playing LaMelo Ball. If he's lower owned, then I'm more interested in him, especially in a 244 total. I am curious to see, does this 244 total get overlooked? There's a possibility it does, because I don't think there's a lot of guys that people are just looking to fire on in this game. Like, they're all in like the mid tier, and like there's just not a ton of values from it. So I think there is some opportunity here for this game stack to get a little overlooked. And if you can find the right values and then just like stack this game up, I don't hate it. Bridges is 7.6K. I'm not really a Bridges guy. I think he could play well here, but I would probably just rather fire on Terry Rozier because of what his upside is. And then I would not sleep on Kelly Oubre at 5.9K. That's a guy that has a really nice ceiling. I assume he's still in that starting lineup, right? Spread that they haven't changed that up.
He was in their last game. Does it worry you Does it worry you at all that he's 5 for 38 from three his last like couple games? Like, dude's just hitting the side of the backboard now. Like, he's back to that. Remember that stay he had in Golden State?
A little worrisome, but like for his price, we know what the upside can be. It's definitely like I want him to be like a single-digit ownership kind of guy on this slate, hopefully, and hope the shot starts falling. The one concern I have with him, and I have some concerns of other ball handlers too, is Montrezl Harrell soaks up usage. And is he just like stealing from guys like Oubre and like just we talked about it with the Dallas game. Like a new guy comes in, he just messes up the flow in a situation. And maybe it has messed up Kelly Oubre too much. Maybe that's something to be concerned about. So I do think that Kelly Oubre at 5'9" is he's a really good tournament play to take a shot on. While like Tyler, you just said it. You said, well, he's shooting terrible. And it's like everyone's scared of that. They see that, they see the game logs, and they get concerned. If he's low owned, I think he's a really interesting option there. And I just don't see a lot of guys like in this game that people are kind of getting to where I think a 4-man stack, if it's not bad, like if you did like a Patrick Beverley with Karl Anthony Towns and you paired it up with like a Terry Rozier and like trying to see like another cheap guy you can go to.
What's Bridges at?
Bridges is 7.6. So like you could get away with going him. Like it'd be basically trying to get like, I think you kind of have to go at least Beverly to help with like the salary a little bit, because then like you're just playing all these values.
How much more expensive is Beasley than Beverly?
That's a good question.
He's going to shoot way more than Beverly, and if he catches fire, he's just going to keep letting it fly.
Beasley's 3.7. He's an upside play where like you understand he could kill you, but on these slates, like sometimes just like grabbing these like way cheaper guys that way can just fill out my full lineup. So I don't mind the Beasley look in tournaments. He's just not going to have any ownership at all, and he could easily get hot against that second unit. So I do like that call. He's not going to project well either, but he's someone that he can easily play into minutes too. He can play into closing the game as well and stealing minutes from like, I don't know, he can steal it from Beverly. He can even steal it from Ann at times, or even D-Russ if he's just that hot. And like the other guy's in foul trouble. So I could see that. Don't mind that call. But it's a 244 total. Don't ignore this game. It's not one that I think is going to pop in projections too much. I haven't ran anything, but from what I'm looking at, I just don't think people are like firing that much on this game. And if they're not, like even Jared Vanderbilt at 4.7, like it's not the sexiest play in the world, but we know how bad Charlotte can be against bigs, and like he's technically a big man and can easily eat down low. So I think this is a good game to get exposure to. You just got to kind of mix and match these guys throughout your lineups. I think that's really the key. And you can't like fire like LaMelo Ball, Cat, like D-Russ, and like Bridges. Like I don't think you can go all the expensive guys. I think you have to mix in some value plays. Maybe it's Harrell, maybe it's Beasley, maybe it's Beverly. I think you have to at least get one or two of those guys in there as you're building out the lineup.
Tyler, talk to me about the total real quick. 244, right? 62.58 in the first half, and we're on pace to go under here. How do we approach this, man? I want to play the over, but it feels like they put that at the price where I'm justifiably afraid of playing the over. What do you think?
Zero chance I'm clicking that over button spread at 244.
Okay.
If it was in the 236 range, I'd click it, but 244 is way too high. Give me the under here in this game. It could get into and 120, 121, and we're still underneath it. So yeah, give me the under.
I clicked the under before because I'm telling you, I think this Timberwolves team bounced back and like that. I think that's not a bad way to bet this game. Is just bet the under, and you're betting on Minnesota's defense becoming better, and then you don't have to worry about this side as much.
And Spread, you said it. I've heard you say it multiple times. When they have their starting lineup, what are they like? One of the best defensive units in the NBA?
I don't know if that's held up, but that's how it was.
Yeah.
As of last month.
I don't think it's held up, but like it was earlier in the year, and it does feel like they've kind of gotten back. And like I just see a lot of quotes on them where like they understand like we're not this team. We need to get like that. Like I want to get on that. Like I want to be ahead on that, and I think that's important too. Obviously, like you could bet it, and like I know Dunkel talks about always trends and like why are you trying to buck the trend? Just follow it. But also the market is adjusted for it. Like 244 is high.
I think it's the highest total of the year.
This isn't like, and of course that's why we want to target. But like in betting, what?
I would say I think it's the highest total of the year. I mean, I don't have them all up, but the highest one I remember before is 243 to start the season. Or
okay, well I'm with you. I like the under here. I think it's a good call.
All right, let's talk about the Indiana Pacers, right? Who grabbed Tyrese Halliburton, but hasn't turned into wins. Halliburton's been doing great, though. I think averaging 23 points and 11 assists so far. But this team just can't stay healthy, man. And a young player that I really like for them that's going to be missing tonight. I don't know how much he means to DFS, but I think he helps this team a lot. Is Isaiah Jackson, and of course Duarte is going to be out too, which I believe is rough because I really like that pairing, right? When Indiana made this move, this was something we were excited about the future. I said, boy, Halliburton, Duarte backcourt, this seems like really fun to build around. Congratulations to the Pacers front office for moving in that direction. Malcolm Brogdon's questionable. Why is the guy not just sitting out? I mean, their chances are done. They should be looking at the lottery right now. If I were them, I'd be having Brogdon, you sure you're not 100%? Only 99%. You better sit it out. So I'm surprised to see Brogdon still on this list. I don't know why he ends up on this injury report every night. Seems like he should be shut down, but I don't know what they're going to do. Now we're going into a game where the Bucks are laying 14. They were laying a huge number last night, Tyler. They lost straight up. To the Portland Trailblazers, who, let's be honest, aren't really not that good a basketball team. Now they get a chance to bounce back tonight. Giannis missed the game last night. He is probable for tonight. This number tells me that they expect him to play. Does the Bucks just bounce back or smash, or can I grab the 14 here safely, Tyler? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pin me down to a side and Giannis is going to play, give me the Bucks. Mm-hmm. I mean, Indy plays no defense. They're giving up 23-plus points to every position except for power forward over the last 30 days, and they're giving up 22 points to him. So it's like there's no defense being played. Milwaukee ranks third in both field goal percentage and three-point percentage. They should hang 125 points easy in this game spread. Now the kicker is they're not playing much of any defense either. They're letting up. They're ranking 26th in opponents' field goal percentage and 18th in opponents' three-point percentage. So Indy could also put up a lot of points here. We talked about the last game having a pretty high total, so does this one. But I like the over in this one because I think Milwaukee's just going to hang such a high number that if Indy gets you to 105, it should put you up over. So I like the over here. I like Halliburton's assist over because I think he could dish it to them guys off pick and rolls. And then I like Buddy Hield's assist over because it's 2.5. He had 9 in the first game for Indy, and he had 1 in the second game. But Tyrese Halliburton did a lot of the ball handling in that second game. I think he does a little bit more here. So those are my props for this game.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see how Milwaukee approaches this game. Travis, I've been breaking down the NBA every single day since the middle of October. And I'll admit, I'm kind of looking ahead to this All-Star break, right? Get to take a little hikes, reconnect with some old friends. I wonder if Milwaukee's kind of doing the same, right? Coming off that long season, ended late in the year. I wonder if they're a little tired too and just waiting to get some rest. It seemed that way against the Trailblazers last night. Did they get a chance to prove me wrong and really put a hurting on one of the worst teams in the league tonight? How are you approaching the Bucks and the Pacers?
Yeah, man, Bucks and Pacers. This is a game that betting-wise, 14.5, that's a lot, but not a big believer in this Pacers team right now, but they do have Halliburton, and it's like a new situation, and it's something to be concerned about, but I could see – man, I could see the Pacers battling, but this is not something I really want to wager my money on. So I'm going to stay away. If I had to pick a lean, I think I would pick the 14.5 just because you do get the value if Giannis happens to sit too as well. Maybe they decide to give him like less minutes too. That Mike Budenholzer loves doing that at times, and that can sometimes be the difference in getting there. So I think that I would lean that from a betting perspective. If you look at DFS, Tyrese Halliburton is 8.5, and that feels really cheap, but he's getting to go up against Drew Holiday, and like so that makes you a little concerned. I think Lance Stevenson at 4K could be really enticing if he's in the starting lineup because, man, Lance is only 4K, and Lance is with a pass. Like, I guess Halliburton's technically, I mean, spread, if you had to pick, he feels like more like a combo guard, but like, and he does both, but he's more of a pass first guard, right? I mean, I guess if you had to pick one, which would you say, spread?
Yeah, and I think that's the problem here in Sacramento is I think he's a point guard, right? And I think he thinks like a point guard, and he does like to distribute the ball. He's just got that great three-point shot, shooting over 40% on the year, but he does like to direct the offense, get his teammates involved. I think that's why Sacramento was so upset to see him go, right? You listen to the guy talk, his approach to the basketball, just really everything that you want in a player. So, yes, I'd agree with you. I think he's a pass-first guard. He wants to get his teammates involved, and then he's going to try and hit those catch-and-shoot threes, and maybe at the end of the shot clock, go ahead and create a three for himself. But I would definitely consider him a pass-first guard.
Well, you know, if he is a pass-first guard and he's going up against Drew Holiday, who's a guy that forces the ball out of your hand, you know who's willing to be that ball handler? And if he's willing to catch and shoot, he's not willing to pass. It's Lance, man. Lance going to make him dance. I think it's a really good spot for Lance. I think the Bucks, it makes sense to say, okay, we'll let Lance Stevenson try and beat us. 4K for him seems like a good option. Buddy Hield, he's been really good too. I definitely think going back to Buddy at 6K is a good idea. O'Shea Brissett sounds like a good idea to go to him too. He's someone I have not been playing. I don't think I've played him all year long. I didn't jump on that first game, and then the other game was on a Sunday, but it feels like he's back more. It feels like they're kind of in not they're in tank mode, but they're giving their young guys work, and it seems like the time to jump on him. So I'm going to jump on him. Sounds like I'm going to be playing him a little bit today. I do think that Goga is in play at 4 or 5. Not someone I need to like lock in there, but I like him on this slate. I'll probably have a little bit of exposure to him. And then Jalen Smith at 3.9. He can play power forward. They could put him at center, but they do like him more, I think, in that power forward spot. And if they are like, let's say they like, I don't know, let's say Halliburton gets in foul trouble or Lance, they could put Buddy to like the 2, and they could put Brissett at the 3 if they really wanted to at times, and put Jalen Smith and play a little bigger. I mean, the Bucks will play big at times, so you could see that, but it's not ideal. The point I'm getting at is I think there's a lot of ways where it can work out for some of these big men like a Brissett. So ultimately, I like this game. I think the Pacers side more. There's a lot of opportunity there. And then on the Bucks side, if Giannis sits, you're going to love a lot of spots there. I'm not really high on spending my salary on Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. I think the price tags are good and you can take shots on them, but they're not the studs I want to load up on this slate, I think. I think there's other options I'd rather go to. And one more guy to mention is like Bobby Portis at 6'7". He has the upside. He could be a really low-owned option. And the Pacers, you're not scared of like Goga and Brissett on the board. So there's opportunity here in this game, but I like it more on the Pacers side rather than the Bucks.
Yeah, Jalen Smith's a guy that I think in 2 or 3 years is going to end up being a good NBA player. I think he got a bad rap in Phoenix, didn't get much of an opportunity. And for what I've seen from him so far, I think he's going to be good, but it is going to take a couple years. That's a great breakdown, Travis. Reminder, that breakdown was brought to you by Run Pure Sports and RunPureBets.com. If you're not a member, head on over and use the promo code GETBETS. Memphis Grizzlies head to New Orleans to take on the Pelicans.
Before you move on to that game, I just wanted to touch on Drew Holiday. They played this team 3 times already. Mm-hmm. Drew Holiday scored 20-plus points in 2 of those matchups. He didn't play in the third matchup. Mm-hmm. I like his double-double because he had a double-double in one game. In the other game, he had 9 assists. Okay. It's looking like no Brogdon. Duarte's out. I mean, Halliburton's going to be there. He plays a little bit better defense, but
he's not that good on ball, though. He's more of a
I still think Holiday can put up some numbers here. So I like his 20-plus and win, the double-double and win, and even doing like the 10-plus assists and win.
All right, and Richie Smalls always bringing the wisdom. Hit the like. I forget to ask, but hey, guys, please hit the like. We're here every day breaking down every game for you. The next game on the slate, like I said, the Pelicans, a home dog again. They won it last night as a home dog by how much? 30 points against the Toronto Raptors team that we were really high on. So you have to give the Pelicans credit. And I said CJ McCollum didn't play that well. And Gary corrected me in the chat, and I went back and looked. It was just his debut where he kind of struggled. Last night led the team again with 23 points. Now, Travis, I don't know how many eyes you had on that game. Was it because of the blowout or was Ingram hurt? Because I don't even think Brandon Ingram played in the fourth quarter. I think that matters when you're handicapping this game tonight. Do you know what's going on with Brandon Ingram, and how are you approaching this game, Travis?
I didn't see the minutes on him. Man, he didn't do too bad in the minutes he had, but man, I can't get behind playing like a lot of these Pelicans right now. They're just, it just feels like I'm kind of like guessing which one it's going to be. It isn't a bad spot against Memphis, and it's the old revenge game for old Valanciunas, revenge game for Adams as well. But I just don't really want to go here with this one like too much. I think maybe like if I play anyone, like it's maybe McCollum, because like I just don't want to pay Brandon Ingram's price tag as much. But he is 8-2. I thought it was 9-2. I misread it. He was 9-2 before. Man, I just feel like I'm playing a guessing game with them though. Like that's the issue. That's the one thing I have to worry about. Like if I play one of these guys, so let's say I play a McCollum, let's say I play an Ingram, I feel like I need to like have like a Ja Morant like ran back. I feel like I'm like hoping this game really shoots out a bit and it's like a good game. But I mean, do I play CJ McCollum at 8K, or do I play like Drew Holiday, like who was just talked about? I don't know. I think I'd even rather go Drew Holiday. There's so many usage guys there where it has me concerned. It is a nice total at 228.5. Just not my favorite game to go to today. Memphis aside, like Ja Morant's only 9.5, and like we were playing him before because the spot that he was in and the role he was in, and they gained some ball handlers back. But 9.5 for Ja against the Pelicans, it's not a bad spot for him as like a spend-up contrarian option, especially because I talked about it. Like there's not a lot of good spend-ups that I love on this slate. So if people are not playing Ja, I'd be interested in him. Steven Adams, I know he played better the other game, but that was more matchup based. He's also 5'8" now, so I struggle with that. Do I want to play Jaren Jackson at 7'2" with the foul trouble he can get into? No. I mean, I think that sounds like a bad idea. Desmond Bane, I like him more in that lower 6 range, not as much at 6'9" in this spot. So I'm just not as excited about this game despite the 228.5 total. If I played anyone, maybe I take some shots on Pelicans, but like I just don't think I want to play like the guessing game. It feels like the Bulls. You remember when the Bulls had Lonzo Ball, DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic, and like you just felt like you were guessing? That's what I feel like this situation is right now. Not that some of these guys are bad plays, not that you need to take them out of your own league pool, but I kind of play 3 lineups, and this just feels like a better stay away spot for me.
Travis, how'd you get through that whole breakdown without using your favorite word?
Revenge. I used it for Valanciunas.
Oh, did you? I missed it. I was sitting there. Man, I was so excited for that joke. You did. Okay,
yes, I said it.
These are the centers that they got traded. But does it just even out because they were traded for each other?
No, I mean, you know what? It's even better type of revenge spread. It's you see the other guy on the other side that said, "I want him over you." I mean, that's the good stuff. I don't know if it for sure is the first time they're seeing each other, if it's a first blood revenge game, which those are always even better. And technically in this spot, you would lean it being more of a Steven Adams revenge game because it's in New Orleans, right? So that'd be a little better for him. That's how the rankings work, I would say.
All right. And our guy, We the People, says this game is tough to cap without the Ja news. Yeah, and if we did not mention it, Ja Morant is questionable. The line says to me that he's playing, Tyler, but I don't know if that line is truly indicative. Tyler, this team is 11-2 straight up without Ja Morant in the lineup. So even if you were to bet the Grizzlies right now and then he was ruled out, I don't think you tear up your ticket. I still think that you're quite live. Anything more on this game, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not making a play in this game until that Ja Morant news is announced because I think he's that much of a key part of this game. If he's out, I mean, maybe I'll play like a CJ McCollum 20+ and win. If he's in, I'd probably lean towards the Memphis side. It's a back-to-back for New Orleans, but yes, none of the starters played over 30 minutes except for McCollum last night. Mm-hmm. And Memphis is one of the few teams that have enough bigs to rotate in against these guys. Because you'll have Joe Val, you'll have Jackson Hayes, and these guys, Herbert Jones. But then Memphis can throw Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson, Steven Adams at you. So they have the bodies to keep up with them. But for the most part, I'm going to stay off this game until I get that news.
All right, Ja Morant sits, right? Like the whole slate changes. Like everything I probably said is pointless. Not everything, but yeah.
I think he plays though. I was really surprised to see him on there. I don't know. So
yeah, it's hard to break it down with like, oh, if he's in,
it's left ankle soreness. That's what makes me think they kind of just be like, oh, take the night off. I don't know if they play another game before the All-Star break.
I think they have one more.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is like, dude, like. The one reason not to bet this game yet is because if he does sit, you're going to get a better line. And like Give me that better Memphis line because I don't know. I'm not a big believer in this Pelicans team. So I haven't watched them that close since they've like had the trade happen. So maybe they're like a better basketball team than I realized. But I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking, Mangone. It's like I'm not putting it past him. And if he's out, like Josh Hart just takes the next best guard off the floor.
Josh Hart's not on there anymore.
Oh yeah, you're right. He's on the other team. I forgot he was in that trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I would just rather wait and see for betting wise. I just don't think you need a fire on it.
Late
Memphis
night
does play
hammer.
a back-to-back tomorrow. So do you think he sits the front end or the back end of the back-to-back?
Who do they play?
The
Blazers
Trailblazers
tomorrow.
I mean, he could sit against
Both.
either.
Yeah, I'll say he could sit both of them maybe.
I'd rather that game doesn't happen to be like a national TV game somehow. Like
No, it's not. It's not the name.
Nope.
It's not.
I don't think either game is.
Oh yeah, if it's like an ESPN one, that could matter. But yeah, I lean Ja plays then. I mean, I think Blazers is the spot to sit him.
All right, yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Late night hammer situation, Travis, but no pivots from the DFS perspective. This is a standalone here, starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock on the West Coast. The Los Angeles Clippers head to Phoenix to take on the Suns. The Suns, the hottest team in the league, living up to their name, winners of 16 of their last 17. Clippers are coming off that victory against the Mavericks. Was that their last game, Tyler, or they played once since then? Regardless, this Clippers team is so hard to cap. They try hard every night. Sometimes it just doesn't matter. Sometimes they're able to pull it out. I think you got to give credit to Ty Lue. Looking at the squad, they should definitely be in the basement, and they're still hanging tough. I really struggle to cap Clippers games. Capping Suns games is fairly easy, though. Just take Phoenix and call it a night. So I'm leaning that way. But this point spread is just absolutely ridiculous. 13-point spread at home. The Suns are actually better against the spread on the road than at home, and that's, of course, because they are laying these ridiculous numbers every night. Tyler, I don't know what to do with this game. I don't want to lay 13, but I don't want to go against the Suns. Lead me to the promised land here, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, if that's all you could bet is the side, I mean, just take the Suns. The Clippers beat them once this year. They beat them when they didn't have Ayton and Booker. Mm-hmm. The Suns handily beat them the other game when they had all their guys, and they still missed Ayton that game. So he hasn't played them yet this year. He'll be in the lineup tonight. They're giving up 29 points and 16 rebounds to centers over the last 30 days. Mm-hmm. His points prop's 15.5. I'll gladly take the over on that. And you could do the performance double, 18-plus points and win, double-double and win, 22-plus points and win. Because I think he absolutely feasts on them under the hoop. You could even do the Booker 30-plus and win if you want plus money on that. That's about 2-1. I think that's a good way to get on them also. I think the total goes over. And I just think the Clippers off that back-to-back win against Golden State, I just can't see them beating the best two teams in the NBA back-to-back nights.
All right. Yeah, that's a great point. That's right. The Clippers, they beat Dallas, and then they beat the Golden State Warriors last night, 119-104. Thank you for jogging my memory. Travis, how are you approaching this one?
Yeah, let me talk about the Clippers side first, because Clippers are definitely a team that if Luke Kennard is out, that's really big for these guys. I think Batum at 3-5 on a slate where we don't love our values. He's in play. Zubac at 4-5 where they're going to need his size, and Hartenstein at 3-4. Just more centers I think you need to consider in that cheap range. Terrence Mann has been absolutely incredible, and it might be because Terrence Mann decided to cut fried food out of his diet and he's eating healthier. I don't know, man. I think
that's good.
Yeah, he's grinding. He's working, and I think that plays into it a little bit for sure. He's in better shape. I definitely like the quotes I saw on him. And that would be good on a back-to-back. He's not like Ant just pounding out some McDonald's, ordering right before his media conference or whatever. So I do think that Terrence Mann is a good play, not because of that, just because the price is good, the usage is great, and he's just been so hot. So I'm not going to ignore him at 4-6. I would rather Kennard out. If Kennard is in, Kennard at 3-2 is not a bad play to consider here. It is the old Marcus Morris revenge game, right? I mean, I think they both played for Phoenix for a time. So you got that in play.
That's where they started, right?
Yeah, one of them did. Then whichever one was on the Rockets ended up going to the Suns, and then they were together for a while. You got the Chris Paul revenge on the other side spread. I mean, there's a lot of revenge going on here.
Still revenge? I mean, that's how many years ago?
Chris Paul's pretty petty, and it's on TNT.
Great point.
He loves to play on TNT. I'm just saying. And in the game they beat him this year, I just looked up the game logs. One time, he had a triple-double against them, which certainly you could see Chris Paul get a triple-double in this spot, and that bonus is really nice. And this is a slate where, I talked about, I don't love a lot of the studs. I think there's some good ones, but, it's not just, a plethora of them, where I need to consider some guys in, the 9 and 8 and 7K range, and Chris Paul at 8-8 feels like an overspend. But we were spending 9-8 for him last week, and Ayton was in. The price is starting to come down because his performances have been fine. They're not incredible. I'll list them to you right now, but for an 8-8 price tag, he got 44.25, 58.75, which he was my play of the day that day. We didn't get the likes up on the show spread, so we had to put it in that old Discord chat. So hit that like.
You guys are so much savage than us. Can you imagine if we held out on this show?
Oh, yeah, no. It was fun, though. It was, then we had 42 against Philly, 41 against Chicago. In those 4 games, that's not that bad, even at 8-8 on this slate. This is not a slate where, I feel like the scoring could be a little bit lower on this slate, too, where, I think Chris Paul's a great contrarian spend. I think more people will go to Devin Booker, and I think they're both good options, but I lean doing the overspend on Chris Paul. I understand it feels expensive, but you know what the upside can be, and these are the spots where he crushes it. The Clippers are playing great basketball, and if they play great basketball again and they keep this going, what's going to happen? Chris Paul's going to get that last rotation and absolutely crush them. So I kind of like going to Chris Paul a little bit in tournaments and mixing and matching him along with those Clippers value plays.
All right, Travis. Well, I'm going to give us a pat on the back right now. We got through all the information quickly. And you know what I was thinking as you were breaking that down? Me and you are going to have to do just an individual podcast, you and I, and really challenge those people that put it at 1.75 speed and see if they can catch all the great information that we're giving out. But we've got it done in time. We're ready to go to the best bets. So you will have at least a chance to get a quick snack before you run the show on the Hardwood Live, brought to you by Run Pure Sports. A reminder, the show is brought to you by runpurebets.com. Head on over, use the promo code GETBETS. Tyler, best bet for the day, side total or prop?
I'm going to roll with Miami -4. And as for their performance doubles, I'm going to take Ayton's double-double and win it plus 150.
Miami -4. Yeah, I really like that play. Travis, what's your favorite play today, side total or prop?
Yeah, man, I'm going to go with – man, it's not the best card, I will say that. I'm going to go with the under on the 244. Definitely not the sexiest thing to bet, but – man, I just think that game, it's great for DFS, so I'm going to have exposure to it, but it could be a great DFS game, and it can still go under. So give me the other on a 244 total. It just seems a bit high, and I'm high on the Timberwolves and their defense coming back, so we'll go with that as the best bet today.
And Tyler, I'm going to go back to Ohio to one of our favorite teams, the Cleveland Cavaliers. They just keep getting it done for us, and I love this matchup for them tonight. The addition of LeVert really has kind of solved that kind of Colin Sexton issue that they've been kind of fumbling around trying to find ever since Ricky Rubio went down. Really like their backcourt now. Love the way that they're coached. Going against an Atlanta team that really, after such a great season last year, struggling to find their identity. Maybe they get it done after the All-Star break, but I think the current momentum continues tonight. So that is it for us. Travis, any words of wisdom before we sign off?
No, 15 minutes. Head on over to the Hardwood Show. Hang out with me. I believe it's me, DC, and Hoop. We'll be breaking down the slate more, and I'm sure we'll be getting more news. And it should be a fun slate, and it starts later. It starts at the 30 mark, so 7:30. So we get what happens is Hardwood Show starts at 4:45. Then 6 o'clock we'll probably finish at 5:45, 6. And then what do? You got 45 minutes to do whatever you want. Maybe you grab a nice meal. Maybe you hit the workbench, as Big T likes to say. You do whatever you want there. You get a nice little time before the premium show that starts at 6:30 with JSU, Big T, Glock, and Holden. They'll be leading me up the lock.
Yeah, and the extra half hour does make for a great final countdown show, and we know we enjoy that so much. Tyler, Travis mentioned Hoop. He will be back with us tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern as we continue to break down the card. And boy, we went fast today. We're going to have to go even faster tomorrow with an 11-game Wednesday slate. Any words of wisdom for the people before we sign off?
No, I mean, just make sure to be back tomorrow for those 11 games, and we'll be live tonight for the NBA slate on the Keg channel.
If you guys subscribe
to that. And then
if
I'm building
the 30-1. We're going to be on tonight.
I'm building the parlay for us now. I'm 2 legs in. I like the Ayton double-double and win. You like the Cavs, so I like Garland to score 20+ and win. Give us one last leg, Mangone.
One last like it. So you want it to be like a player performance one?
Who is your best bet?
Just give us the team. Oh, he took the under though. Is that hard to put in there?
I mean, yeah. Who do we like in that game? Ant Edwards?
I'm thinking.
Or if there's another game you'd like to side in, and then just give me a player who you think.
I think Cat's safer for performance.
Yeah, what's Cats? That's what I was gonna say.
Cat's double and win is -105. 12 plus rebounds and win is +156. 25 plus points is +134.
I like something Cat related. I like targeting Charlotte in these spots.
Let's not worry about rebounds.
You want to go to 25 plus points?
Yep, that's it.
We'll go with that one. All right, that gets us 17-1.
All right, love it. Always going for the home runs. No warning track tonight. We're going to knock it out of the park. Thank you, Travis, for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. One more reminder, hit that thumbs up on your way out. Thank you for joining us.